Today we are doing how to factor a quadratic trinomial when a equals 1. We are using this equation here, y equals x squared plus 6x plus 8, with two different methods to see how you can find the factors for this equation. The first method, we are going to be utilizing the equation. The second method, we're going to be using a diagram to represent the equation. For the first method, you start out, first step is multiplying A and C in the standard form of a quadratic equation, which is this. This is the standard form of a quadratic equation. You have ax squared plus bx plus c. Here, you're multiplying a and c. So essentially you're multiplying the coefficient by c, which is only a whole number. And it's the constant in the equation. So in this case, a equals 1. So pretty much you're just going to end up getting c, which is the constant. So for this example, we're doing 8. This leads us to our next step. Our next step is to find factors of AC, which is this for us. So the factors of 8 are 1 and 8 and 2 and 4. Those are the only two factors that you have for the number 8. So this leads us into our next step. Our next step is to find the factors of AC that add together to make B. So, which two numbers out of these factors are going to add to make 6x? In this case, you have 2 and 4, which add up to make 6. If your number in the middle is negative, then you will find that you have to negate one of these. But because our number is positive, you end up having to just stay with the whole numbers that you have here. So we have rules where when C is positive, you are either going to get negative A and positive A, or positive A and negative A for your factors. These are your factors. So you'd get x negative A and then x positive A. That would be your factors for a positive C value. But when you have a negative C value, you're going to have either a negative and a negative, or a positive and a positive. So you would get x negative A and then x negative A, or you would get x positive A and then x positive A. So in this case, we have a positive C, and so you're just going to have two positives because this value is not negative. So therefore, you have 2 and 4, and you're just going to plug that into your equation, and you're going to rewrite your equation. Erasing this, make room for the equation, and you have y equals x squared plus 2x plus 4x plus 8. It is important to strategize where you put these two numbers because you're going to have to factor them. So, I'm factoring these two, and I'm factoring these two. I'm simplifying it. And that leads us into our fourth step, which is to plug the factors into the equation and simplify it. So, in order to simplify this, you need to find the greatest common factor between these two numbers. The greatest common factor between these two numbers would be x. So you would get y equals x times x, because x squared divided by x is x, plus 2x divided by x is 2. So you get that. And then you're going to find the greatest common factor for this, right here. And the greatest common factor for this would be 4. So then you get positive 4 times x plus 2. This is really important. You need to make sure that this and this are the same. In order for these to be the same, you need to strategize which of these needs to go where. Because I moved the 4x to go with 8 and the 2x to go with x squared, we easily got factors that worked with each other. Had I not done that, it would have been a little different. Instead, it would have been x plus 4 in both of these little areas, and then I would have gotten x plus 2. So now, this leads us to our fifth and final step, to write out the factors. So, our final factors are x plus 4 and x plus 2. These are our factors. In order to check your work, you would do FOIL. FOIL is a method that we use to simplify things to make sure that we don't get confused and make sure that we multiply everything together once. It is first, outside, inside, and last. First, outside, inside, last. This goes this way, first, outside, inside, and last. Pretty simple. And so you're just going to do x squared plus 2x plus first, outside, 2x plus 4x plus 4 times 2 is 8. And then you have to simplify it even more. So then you get y equals x squared plus 6x plus 8. This was our original equation up there. And that's how we know that these factors are correct. For the second method, we're going to be working with the diagram. For the diagram, you're just going to start out by, first step, find what parts of the equation that you know are going to be in the square. For this case, we know for sure that there's 1x squared and that there's 8. Because 8 is our constant value and x squared is the parent section of a quadratic formula. So what we're going to start out with, in order to make things simpler, you just make a square. You want to draw a square and cut it up into 4 pieces. Split it into 4. Like that. Make it into quarters. You're going to put your x squared here and your 8 here. The reason why you have your 8 here is because these two values are going to multiply together in order to make 8. Because they are intersecting here in this corner, you get 8. So, pretty much we're just going to be doing the same thing that we did here now. Now, your second step is to find the factors of 8. So find factors of c, because 8 is c, is our c value. So, as we did before, the only two factors that are in 8 are 1 and 8 and 2 and 4. And once again, as we found, the two values that add together to make our b value would be 2 and 4. So our third step is to find the factors that add together to make c. That add or subtract. To make c. To make b. So, we have 2 and 4. 2x plus 4x equals 6x. So here, we're going to put 4x. Here, we're going to put 2x. It really doesn't matter what position you put them in here. You're still going to come up with the same result in the end. So here, you're trying to find the greatest common factors between these two, these two, these two, and these two. You're pretty much going and making another square. Your values are going to be here, 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 and here. And that is where it's going to tell you what the factors are. So, your fourth step for this method is to find the greatest common factors among the parts of the area square. That's what we're going to call this. This is the area square. So, in order to do that, we're pretty much doing the same thing that we did here and transforming it down here. We're finding the greatest common factor between 2x and 8. Well, that would be 2. So then you get left, so you have 2. And that is your greatest common factor. The greatest common factor for x squared and 4x is x. You get positive, so x plus 2. The greatest common factor between 2x and x squared would also be x. And then the greatest common factor between 4x and 8 would be 4. Positive 4. Here you get your factors. These two are your factors. And so, by doing the fourth step, you find your factors, and so now you just have to write them out. And that is our fifth and final step. To write out the factors of the equation. As we did before, the final factors are x plus 4 and x plus 2. since we already checked our work, we know that this is the correct factored form of y equals x squared plus 6x plus 8. Those are two different methods that you can use to find the factored form of a quadratic trinomial. There are other methods as well that work for other people, but these are two methods that I know of that are very helpful.